Fresa. Chapter 2.
The journey was extremely tiring and seemed to drag on endlessly. I started regretting that we hadn't taken a plane instead. At first, I spent a long time talking with Natalie about our plans and what we wanted to see. We assumed that besides work, we would leave ourselves some time to explore and get to know Spain. While talking with Natalie, I kept seeing Alice's reflection in the window. She was staring blankly into the empty space outside. She sat motionless, curled up and pressed into the corner of her seat. It was already completely dark outside. Tired after the whole day, Natalie covered herself with a blanket, curled up in her seat, and fell asleep. The bus was dimly lit. I wanted to fall asleep too, but every little noise irritated me. I thought I would talk to Alice and ask how she was doing. I moved to Alice's seat and gently nudged her shoulder in a friendly way. Alice jumped slightly, pulled out of her daze. "What were you thinking about so deeply?" I asked jokingly. I smiled and joked that there was no turning back now, that we were stuck with this trip and with each other. Alice looked confused, and after a moment, slightly upset. "For you, this is an adventure, but I'm in a different situation. I regret deciding to come on this trip, but unfortunately, I didn't have another choice." My enthusiasm faded quickly, which Alice noticed immediately. She seemed to realize that she had reacted too emotionally. She placed her hand on my shoulder, as if she wanted to stop me from leaving, and apologized. "A lot has been happening in my life lately. Actually, not just lately. I feel like something is always happening. Not necessarily good things." "Alice, I don't understand what you're trying to tell me." "I'm sorry, but I have a mess in my head right now. I have problems with my family. Or maybe I'm the problem? I don't even know anymore. I still don't understand. What kind of problems? Can you explain a little more clearly?" "I don't want to talk about it yet. Not here. Not now." I felt that Alice wanted to let something out, but she couldn't bring herself to do it. I hugged her. I could feel that she was trembling. In a calm and quiet voice, I told her that even though I didn't understand anything, there would be plenty of time for her to explain everything to me, and that whatever bad things were happening with her family, everything would surely work out. That kind of generic reassurance probably didn't help much, but I couldn't think of anything else to say. Alice slowly calmed down and relaxed, and a small smile appeared on her face. I didn't even notice when midnight arrived. Natalie was still sleeping deeply. Alice and I were getting sleepy as well. My eyes were becoming heavier. My body was relaxing. The seat was uncomfortable, but I started to feel warm and cozy. My awareness slowly faded away, and I don't know when I fell asleep. I woke up around 7 in the morning. Alice had her head resting unconsciously on my shoulder and was still asleep. When my awareness and sharpness of vision finally returned, I noticed that Alice's loose sweater had slipped slightly from her shoulder, revealing a large bruise. It looked awful. Thoughts started racing through my mind. Had Alice hurt herself? Or had someone else done it to her? Alice woke up as well. She straightened up, lifted her head from my shoulder, and adjusted her sweater, covering her arm. I pretended I hadn't seen anything. I wouldn't have even known how or what to ask. I decided it was better to stay silent. We were already in Spain, and there were still 2 hours left until our destination. We stopped at a gas station. I went with Natalie and Alice to the restroom, and then we went to get breakfast. My whole body ached from the uncomfortable seat. After an hour-long break, we continued our journey. The time passed quickly, and we finally arrived at the bus station in Barcelona. We had to change to another local bus that would take us to San Pol de Mar,
and from there another bus would take us to Sant Cebrià de Vallalta. Barcelona looked breathtaking, but our bus quickly left the city and headed toward the nearby villages. I felt a little scared that we would spend the next 2 or 3 months sitting somewhere in the middle of nowhere, in that heat, working hard. I looked at Natalie, and we started laughing at our situation, wondering what we had actually been thinking when we decided to come here. Alice started laughing with us when she saw the empty surroundings. We finally arrived at the farm.
We got off the bus, and the heat and heavy air hit us immediately. The farm manager welcomed us. He spoke with us for a moment in broken English, asked how our journey had gone, and showed us where we would be staying. I have to admit, our accommodation looked quite nice from the outside. It was a small old Catalan house, divided into several separate apartments. We had one larger room for the 3 of us, a private bathroom, and a small kitchen. Everything inside was already heavily worn by time, but it was clean, and the bedding was fresh. After such a long journey, I honestly didn't really care anymore. The farm manager gave us a map and a schedule showing where we needed to go the next day and how to start our work. Each of us was tired, so we didn't talk much. A shower, a quick dinner, and finally the long-awaited bed and sleep. Alice gently woke me up and told me that in half an hour we had to go and start work. I took a quick shower, put on my shorts and a t-shirt, and went with the girls to the strawberry fields. The sun was still low at that hour and wasn't exhausting like it had been the day before. The work itself wasn't complicated. You took a few empty baskets, picked the ripe fruit, and placed it carefully inside until the basket was full. Once it was filled, you exchanged the basket for another empty one, and every full basket was assigned to a specific worker. We were paid for the hours we worked, but everyone still tried to keep the number of filled baskets close to what the others were doing. The first few hours were manageable. However, with every following hour, our bodies, unused to physical work, started reminding us of their limits. We finished after 6 hours of work. Everything hurt. I could see that the girls were struggling too. We walked back home with stiff, awkward movements, like we had been broken apart. The work started very early, but at least we finished quickly and had the rest of the day for ourselves. We walked back home along a dirt road, under the full sun, which made us even more tired. I quickly took a warm shower that relaxed my aching body. Later, we had to walk to the small center of the village where we lived, go shopping, and eat something at one of the local bars. We ordered the daily set menu with wine. The place was a little shabby, but the food and wine were very good. After leaving the bar, the wine and exhaustion made my legs barely move as I walked back toward our house. It was late afternoon. We walked along the dirt road, with a forest on one side and fields on the other. The sun was getting lower and still gave off a pleasant warmth. Cicadas were buzzing loudly, and everything around us smelled of herbs and pine. We finally returned home. I quickly washed up, changed clothes, skipped dinner because I wasn't even hungry, and got into bed. I thought I would fall asleep immediately from exhaustion, but, as luck would have it, my heart was still beating fast from the effort, or maybe from the wine, and my body couldn't calm down. The moon was shining brightly, lighting up our room. I noticed that Alice was looking at the moon, with a distant and thoughtful expression on her face. It seemed to me that her cheek was wet, as if she had been crying. "Are you awake?" I asked. Alice got scared, probably thinking that she was the only one who wasn't sleeping. She wiped her cheek, turned toward me, pulled the thin blanket up to her chin, and said that there had simply been too many emotions that day, and that was probably why she couldn't fall asleep.
She said that she wanted to fall asleep so she could wake up early for work the next morning. But the harder she tried, the less sleepy she felt. "Why were you crying?" I asked directly. I thought Alice would brush me off or wouldn't want to talk about it, because she stayed silent for a long moment. I saw her eyes filling with tears, and after a while, tears started running down her cheeks. She tried to say something, but it was difficult to understand anything. She completely broke down. She was trembling. I didn't really know how I should react. I glanced at Natalie, looking for support, but unfortunately, she was already asleep. I got up, walked over to Alice's bed, and hugged her, bending myself into an awkward position. I didn't ask anything. I just waited until she calmed down. After a few minutes, I could feel that the worst wave of emotions had passed, and Alice started to relax. "Are you okay? What's happening?" I asked. Alice stayed silent. I started feeling cold, and my back began to hurt from the uncomfortable position. "I think it's better now, right? I'm cold and my back hurts. I'm going back to my bed. Let's sleep. We have to wake up early tomorrow." I wanted to leave, but Alice grabbed my hand tightly. "Stay. Please don't leave me." She moved to the side and made some space for me. "Lie down. You'll be more comfortable." I didn't want to leave her when I saw how bad she was feeling. I moved further onto the bed and straightened my back. "Cover yourself so you stay warm," she said, and covered me with the blanket. Alice moved closer, wrapping herself around my arm and shoulder so tightly that it was a little painful. I stroked her head to help her calm down. I felt strange in that situation, but I understood that my role was simply to be there and not ask questions. I thought that in a moment, Alice would calm down completely and I would return to my own bed. But I felt warm and comfortable, and I didn't even notice when I fell asleep.
This is the end of Chapter 2. If you'd like to find out what happens next, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next chapter.